Welcome to Dossier, where we sift through all the game releases in a given month and deliver a list of the ones you should pay attention to, and ultimately, pay for. The last couple months have been solid, but loaded with the big releases at the end of the month. September 2024 is different. There's a big game or two every single week. Supermassive has built its name on creating some of the greatest horror adventures in the industry. Its run started with Until Dawn back in 2015, before moving on to the Dark Pictures franchise and The Quarry. It does one thing, and does it very well, and its next game is the casting of Frank Stone. This one dives into the Dead by Daylight universe as a group of teens gets mixed up with the titular murderer's legacy. These games always give players agency over how things play out, so good luck trying to save this band of boppers. The Astro Bot franchise has mostly existed as a tech demo for PlayStation's various VR initiatives, but the little bucket of bolts sure is cute. So cute, in fact, that he's become extremely popular with PlayStation's fans. And so popular, in fact, that Sony has picked up on it and gifted the pint-sized contraption with its own non-VR video game. Astro Bot is a throwback to the classic era of 3D platformers, where the worlds are just as big as the fun. Gameplay variety is the name of the game. 1 minute you're navigating harrowing platforms, the next you're racing through psychedelic landscapes, and after that you're taking on a gigantic boss. If you want to play more games like this, you should support games like Astro Bot. If you're looking for something a little more traditional and gritty, in September, look no further than Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. This throwback to the early aughts has you hacking and blasting your way through waves of tyrannid sinew. If insect blood makes you squeamish, the forces of chaos return to provide more traditional gore fodder. The game is not for the faint of heart, but its cooperative options should be great for playing with buddies as you marvel in the abject depravity of a battlefield littered with leg and limb. Best of all, both melee and gunplay are on equal footing, so you can play exactly how you want. Few people remember that Test Drive is the first racing franchise to go open world. Without the roads paved by this innovative series, we wouldn't have other classics like Forza Horizon, Burnout Paradise, and so many more. Solar Crown is a love letter to luxury cars, so expect liveries from Lamborghini, Aston Martin, Audi, Mercedes, BMW, Ferrari, Porsche, Bugatti, and so many more. Set in Hong Kong, the game wades into the battle between the Sharps and the street's car gangs, while its varied terrain will keep your hands at 3 and 6. Build and evolve your own headquarters in this all-encompassing Gearhead experience. One of the bigger sales disappointments from the last half-decade is Final Fantasy XVI. We absolutely loved it, and gave it a glowing review on GameFace, calling it the best Final Fantasy since the franchise's heyday. At that point, it was only available for the PlayStation 5, which was still growing its installed base. It turned out to be a massive mistake, but Square Enix is trying to rectify that by releasing the game for a new audience on PC. It comes complete with all the bells and whistles you'd expect from a PC game, and its action and combo-driven combat will lock you in for its considerable runtime. We love it. It should be even better on PC. Buy it. When the year started, many had the Plucky Squire on their shortlist for Indie Game of the Year. Then the months kept rolling by, and we heard nothing about it. That was all fixed a couple weeks ago with a huge round of media and a release date. Now, once again, we can focus on how awesome it looks. In this 2D-3D hybrid, a storybook comes to life and its characters leave its boundaries for some of the more innovative presentation and mechanics you'll experience this year. If you're someone who likes to reward artists who break the boundaries, or maybe have a kid to play with, the Plucky Squire is a great choice. We've included Greedfall 2 with some caution because its development team recently criticized the game's publisher for forcing it out before it's complete. So there's a chance that the game is delayed or it's just not great. But we played the first Greedfall and we are big fans, so we're giving the sequel the benefit of the doubt. It's set 3 years after the original, and you play as a new protagonist who leaves his or her island home to visit the mainland and ultimately stop colonizers from destroying it. Of course, this franchise is all about the Malachor plague, and it's even worse in this densely populated area. But just like with us putting Greedfall 2 on this list, the risk is worth it. Usually with new Zelda games, they're announced and then released several years later. But The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom is different in several ways. First, it was just announced in June, and it's launching a few months later. And second, it stars Princess Zelda in the leading role instead of Link. The hook is that Zelda can use her fancy tri-rod to create echoes. Basically, everyday objects like tables and trampolines or monsters she can use to fight enemies or solve puzzles. This mechanic goes even deeper with the binding option. It's a brand new tale with a brand new design that satisfies cries from fans that echo through the decades. We're not quite sure why EA is bothering to release a new football game this year, since last year's outing is still at the top of the European sales charts. Even when the game was free on Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, it continued to sell. Not too shabby for the publisher's first game without the FIFA license. Now, we'll see EA's fitness to deliver again and again. This season, there's a new Ultimate Team variant called Rush, tweaks to FC IQ, and a more thorough integration of the women's game. It's nothing earth-shattering, but when players line up year after year without question, EA isn't exactly pressed to drastically change its strategy on the pitch. It's been almost a year since Starfield launched. While it fell well short of saving Xbox Series hardware sales, most players enjoyed their time with it. Updates haven't been released as often as we'd like, but Bethesda is looking to make up for lost time with the gigantic Shattered Space expansion. Not only does it add a ton of story content and other goodies, it fundamentally changes the tone of the game. Gone is the NASA punk aesthetic that was championed pre-launch. Now, the game has a more serious, sinister tone. Of course, you also get new enemies and weapons, and even a dune buggy. It's the biggest update to the game yet. Thanks for checking out our rundown of all the games worth buying in September 2024. If you like what we're doing, head to patreon.com/sifted and give us a pledge if you can. For just $4 a month, you get Game Face 4 days early, Pactor Factor a week early, and the rest of our content, like this show, at least 3 days early. Have a great month of gaming, and we'll see you again in October.